So the first ever English regionals has officially come to an end, and it was a thrilling match. I mean, first and foremost, three Annies in top four against a Master Yi in that case, and guys, it was an intense finals. So I joined Jacob from Rift Labs to be able to go ahead and commentate this finals for you. And guys, we are going to be looking at the deck list and the gameplay, all of that and more, starting right now. So yeah, that's going to be the big thing here, is that this was a little bit different than what we naturally saw. I mean, top 64 was an intense array of deck lists and very skilled players that were able to perform incredibly well, and I could only imagine how much of a grind that would be. Now, we had over 1,200 players. I think the official count that I am getting is around 1,347 players in total, but that is still yet to be confirmed, and it's going to be really interesting to see how everything kind of shifts in the meta a little, namely due to the fact that Annie was able to be so dominant, especially in that top 8. The top 3 deck, or the top 4 decks, 3 of them were Annie, which is just, if you would have told us that at the beginning when Riftbound was first released, I probably would have laughed a little bit and been like, yeah, and I doubt it. But at the same time, I still at least knew that Sold Out, who had been already piloting Annie for a good long time, had proven that this deck could definitely hold up, especially against Kai'Sa's and decks of that nature. But the popularity of Annie as a playable competitive deck had not yet caught on. So now here we go, and Annie won the first English regional. So what does that deck actually look like? Well, here we go. Now, first and foremost, this of course is going to be on riftdex.com, and it'll be posted down below. Now, the thing to keep in mind is there's really two different kinds of Annie decks that are currently circulating. First one is going to be the ones that don't run Scrap Heap, and the second ones are going to be the ones that do. That's really the only difference, necessarily. Now, the big difference and why that is so good is because, first and foremost, Scrap Heap in and of itself is going to be saying that when this is played, discard or killed, draw 1. So pretty good already right off the bat. And then you play that immediately with Zon Warrens in game 1. So you're just immediately going to be not only able to utilize what Traveling Merchant might be able to do when you have a Scrap Heap in hand, but also just moving into a battlefield can immediately allow you to discard the card, and then you draw 2. And you're like, okay, cool, that's great. That's easy to see. So, now, before that, of course, Annie is going to be probably one of the best legend abilities out there. And the big reason I say that is because at the end of your turn, you just automatically get 2 ready 2 runes. So in a lot of ways, you get to utilize a +2 every single turn, in the sense of, at least during your opponent's turn, you have those 2 extra runes. So Annie really thrives with being able to have a lot of 2 cost or less spells in their hands for their opponent's turn. And they're going to be able to utilize that incredibly well with either pushing back people's units or protecting their own, or even doing some weird shenanigans with things like Ride the Wind or Flash, Fight or Flight, and things of that nature. So things to definitely keep in mind with that. Now, Annie Stubborn is actually a pretty solid deck too, because, or card as your champion as well, because the big reason is going to be that you can go ahead and when you play her, grab a spell from your trash. So anything that you might need in these circumstance, you are able to go ahead and utilize. You need to be able to dig a little deeper because you haven't seen a Ride the Wind and you got a Vi in hand. Cool. Let's go for a stack deck and see if we can dig 3 deeper. Do we need to get the Ride the Wind because we've already used it earlier in the game? Cool, let's grab it. Do we need a Falling Star that we've already used so that we can help clean up the game again? Yep, we got Annie. So that's going to be one of the biggest things there, is that Annie can just go ahead and fish right back out one of the just any spell that you could particularly need for the given situation. And then you just play it again. And that in and of itself can be a really big deal. Then on top of that, if you need to even go ahead and utilize Annie's ability further, then you can go ahead and gust her back to hand, and then on top of that, be able to then play her again, grab another spell, and you can kind of use that. So really good combo for you to be able to utilize there. Now, of course, Traveling Merchant is going to be the number one that you are going to be utilizing, wanting to get out in the beginning of turn one, just because you're able to get a lot of cards into your trash that way. When I move, draw one, discard one. Pretty freaking solid. So, biggest thing with that, of course, is that you are trying to go ahead and fill up your deck or fill up your trash with as many cards as possible. So at the very end of the game, you can go ahead and do Vi and Ride the Wind. Well, Vi specifically, one, she has ganking, which is incredibly powerful, and then you have recycle one from your trash and give me +1 this turn. So already just super good. You can utilize that as many times, of course, as that you can pay the cost. So you have 15 cards in your discard. Cool, I'm going to do all 15, and whew, there we go. Vi is now at 18. And then you can just go ahead and run over literally everyone. You do have to sometimes play around with certain things. You have to be careful about your opponent if you're in the anti-mirror match doing a fight or flight or things of that nature. You also have to be careful about going against Master Yi and them defying Ride the Wind or things of that nature. And so there's a few things that you definitely need to play around and be careful with as you go through. Now, Sneaky Deckhand is also going to be incredibly good because you can just go ahead and play it out into an unoccupied battlefield. The big reason for that is that if you go ahead and play a 2-drop turn 1 and then Sneaky Deckhand in the other deck in the other battlefield on turn 2, you then get 2 points. The odds of your opponent being able to take both is going to be slim, and you could potentially go up 3-1. And that already is going to be a big difference. And I mean, it can just be such a big game changer there on what it's able to do and the abilities. Now, of course, mid to late game, you're not necessarily going to be able to utilize Sneaky Deckhand nearly as effective as what you would probably like. And so one of the big things with that is, you definitely are going to be discarding that with a Traveling Merchant or a Zon Warren. Now, of course, the biggest thing, and at least one of the biggest things that Anna can struggle with is card draw. You do have Sneaky Deckhand, or not Sneaky Deckhand, you do have Stack Deck and things of that nature that might be able to get you a couple of cards, but the biggest thing is trying to go ahead and fill back up that hand. If you run out of cards, you can't play the game, and Annie especially needs those cards in hand to be able to find the answers needed. Annie can sometimes struggle with being able to build out the battlefield and fill out the base. Yes, you might have a lot of spells to be able to utilize, but if you don't have any units to protect or get you points, you're just going to end up losing the game. And so Kaisa is a great way to help you go ahead and get those points that you are needing, as well as being able to draw a card every single time that you conquer. So it can be a lot of help there on being able to get you those points needed. Then, of course, Darius is probably going to be your highest powered unit, highest might unit next to Vi, being able to go up to 7 and even potentially 10 when you go with Cleave. Now, that's going to be helpful because a lot of times you're going to be finding yourself at an impasse where it can be very difficult for you to try to get things going, and your opponent will stack up a battlefield and it can be difficult to get over it unless you have potentially Vi. Well, Darius can come in and for 5, and when you play a second card, it comes in readied and +2. And then you can just go in for 7. And that in and of itself can be a really big difference maker on helping you to be able to conquer the battlefield. So you got to be a little bit careful about, how you utilize him sometimes, but he can be an absolute game changer when it comes to it. Now, of course, with spells and things of that nature, this is going to be a big difference maker. You have Cleave, which is going to be able to add Assault 3. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people, or at least a lot of new players, sometimes make the mistake of attaching Cleave to add a +3 when they are moving into an unoccupied battlefield. Cleave does not add +3. Cleave adds Assault 3, meaning that when you are attacking, you get 3 additional might. So you got to be a little bit careful about how you go about that, because if you go ahead and just play it and target Darius and while he's moving into a unoccupied battlefield, it literally does nothing unless you're trying to play the second card to ready him back up. Then potentially yes. But Gust as well, you play 2 in this deck. This is mainly going to be more so for saving your own units. Every once in a while, though, it is going to be really nice for you to be able to say, no, you're not actually attacking in this turn. You go back to hand. So that's going to be the big thing, is save your own stuff and potentially slow your opponent down. But that's going to be, something really easy to be able to do. Now, then stack deck, one of the best cards in the game. Look at the top 3 cards of your main deck, put one into your hand, and recycle the rest or put them at the bottom. So really helpful there. One fight or flight is really interesting to consider. A lot of people generally play 3 in this case, but nope, utilizing one fight or flight and 3 flashes. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's $50 right now. The big reason why it is so expensive is because it is an exclusive common that only comes in Proving Grounds. And so it's like, well, if you want it, you need to either get a Proving Grounds, which is very difficult, or you need to be able to, buy them on TCG Player or things of that nature, which is also incredibly expensive. Not fun. Now, the one rebuke is actually a really interesting idea because you can return a unit at a battlefield to its owner's hand. And even running one in the main deck, I actually really think is a good idea. I saw it in sold out best of one version, and I do still think it is a really good one to be able to utilize. It can't be defied, which is a big difference maker as well. Then also we have Ride the Wind. Running 3 of those is going to be extremely powerful because you could just go ahead and even use it on your opponent's turn as well because it is an action. So when a showdown is started, you can then just go ahead and say, cool, I'm going to bounce over to the other side. Then, of course, after that, 2 Void Seekers. Then you are always going to be starting with Zon Warrens as the first one. Arena's greatest when you are going first. So if you won the first game with Zon Warrens, cool. Then you play Arena's greatest game 3. If you didn't win Zon Warrens, then you can play Arena's Greatest Game 2, and then if not, you play Dreaming Tree Game 2. So, there's a lot of interesting ways to go about that. Then, of course, 6 Chaos Runes, 6 Fury Runes, and then your sideboard is going to be the 3rd Gust, 2 Fight or Flight, 2 Rebukes, 1 Fading Memories, and 2 Dravens, which is actually a really interesting thing, but it's also just a great one. You're going to be getting points a lot, and so to be able to utilize a Draven is going to be extremely helpful, and after Game 1, you have 3 cards that you immediately are going to be taking out. Likewise, on the flip side, we have Master Yi. Now, this Master Yi deck was actually a really interesting build, mainly due to the fact that it is basically 2 different decks. And so what this player would do in this case is Challenger TCG would go ahead and play the Dazzling Auroras in deck 1 and then would literally substitute out his 2 costs essentially instead and make this just a regular deck. And so game 1, you were going against Dazzling Aurora. Game 2, you potentially would be going against a normal deck at that point. And then game 3, same thing. Who knows what you might be going against, but more often than not, he just played it as a regular Yi deck at that point. And it was a really interesting idea, and it is a deck that can really surprise your opponent, especially if they do decide to then go ahead and side in the gear to try to defeat or destroy a Dazzling Aurora, and then, oh, by the way, I actually took those 3 cards out of my deck, and I'm not actually playing that anymore. So it's a great way to really throw off your opponent and even give yourself a little bit of an advantage there. Now, of course, in the top 64, you do know all the open deck lists at that point. So really interesting to be able to see. Now, of course, Master Yi's ability is just incredibly powerful as well. It is going to be when friendly units defend alone, it gets +2 might. So already going to be really good and putting up a big wall, especially when you have a lot of units that are going to be at 6 or above for that matter. Now, of course, you do have Yi Honed, which is going to be super powerful as well, being able to gank and also enter ready. Tasty Feyfolk, one of the most broken cards for green, can be accelerated for 1 and a green, and then has Death Knell. You can channel 2 runes, Exhausted, and draw 1. Then you have the most powerful card in orange at this point, Deadbloom Predator. We were talking with Batsu on which is the most powerful unit, Darius or Deadbloom. We did say Darius just due to the cost and the power ability, but still, Deadbloom Predator is definitely up there with being able to be played into an occupied battlefield, and not only that, also having Deflect, meaning that you have to recycle a rune every time that you target this unit, which can make him so incredibly difficult to destroy. Then White Flame Protector, playing 2 of these, of course, and going to be able to then go ahead and give +8 might to a unit this turn. It can also target itself. So if you have a way to go ahead and ready this unit, you can all of a sudden have 16 that goes ahead and rushes in. That's a little rare for, Master Yi in this case, but it is something that is possible. 2 Mountain Drakes, again, this is going to be for the Dazzling Auroras. Definitely something that you're going to be subbing out game 2, which makes it easy. You already have the 5 cards that you're going to be subbing out. And then Volibear, of course, is going to be the 6th card that you then go ahead and put these guys in instead. Volibear is just going to be really good. The shield 3, the tank, and then when an opponent moves to a battlefield other than mine, draw 1. And so, just can be such a powerful effect to really give you an advantage and a lot of card draw. Then Zonia's Hourglass is going to be really good, especially because sometimes you do have Vilema's Lair, and if you have, Vilema's Lair, just so you guys know, units can't move here from base and can't overrules can. So when you go ahead and play something like Fight or Flight and it says move this unit from a battlefield to a base, sorry, that's a can. Vilema's Lair overrules that. Well, Zonia's Hourglass specifically says send it to base. This isn't a move. And because it says that it's not a move, it isn't. So it will go ahead and then just automatically pull it back into base so you can go ahead and utilize it again on the following turn. Very powerful and great to be able to use with that battlefield. Then we got 3 Charms, 3 Defies, 1 Sabotage, which also could be pretty dang good, 1 Challenge to take care of some stuff, 2 Discipline, 3 Mobilize, 2 Room Prison, and Room Prison was a game changer in this deck, especially on what it was able to do to get to the finals. Units attack in, and you're just like, yeah, you're not doing damage. And then they just bounce right back. Great way to shut down Vi and ride the wind. You don't even have to defy it for that matter. Because sometimes there's ways to get around the defy because you can just go ahead and replay another ride the wind at that case and you're good. But Room Prison says it doesn't matter if you can move around and attack. You're literally dealing no damage. Go back to base. Just a great way to deal with a lot of your defenses. Love Rune Prison in the main deck. Find your center to be able to ramp and draw. Wind Wall just in case for those big spells. Love the one of, and I feel like it's needed in this main deck. And then 3 Catalysts of Aeons, again, to just get that ramp. Then you have Aspirin's Climb. That's going to be the card that you play at the very first turn, or at the very first game. And then, of course, you can do Obelisk of Power game 2, especially if you're going first or second. Doesn't necessarily matter. It feels really good. And then Vilema's Lair can also be a card that you play at game 2. Just again, really great job on being able to lock down your opponents in a battlefield, saying, sorry, you can't move unless you necessarily have ganking, which Master Yi is able to utilize pretty well. Now, then 6 Body Room, 6 Calm Runes, and then Sabotage, Clockwork Keeper, Stalwart Poro, and a 2nd Wind Wall. So yeah, guys, that is going to be the 2 decks. We're going to be looking at the other deck lists as well when we are able to do so, which is going to be tomorrow's video. So look forward to that. But here we go. Here is the gameplay from the finals, and I hope you guys enjoy.
And it's some sort of gambling because you get a random drawn hand, right? It's not skill-based, confirmed. However, Flesh and Blood was the first card game ever allowed in Germany because it's more considered, like by the government, to be skill-based card game rather than like an RNG. You draw cards and it's like random chance.
Yeah, interesting. So that's really cool though, but
Ooh.
that is a tough beginning. At least you're able to get a unit out, but having to play the Vi, find your center and draw. So already going to get a little
And
bit
we
of
are going
ramp.
to 9, by the way. We're going to 9 Aspirant's Climb.
Gosh, going to be a long game.
Yeah, 2 turns. The Annie can probably get to 2 points by then, potentially. And then that's when Yi can just come in and just kill something. And the Vi's probably going to die pretty early. Oh, we see a Scrap Heap discarded. Really sick card. You normally play that for Zorn Warrens, and then you side it out, which is nice.
And Sneaky Deckhand, because that could be something to really
Oh,
help
yeah.
make a difference on sacrificing that 1 power cost with Vi to get back into this game. But Sneaky Deck, or Scrap Heap can be such a great card to get this started here. And there we go. A great start
That's
indeed.
like the most perfect thing that could happen. Wow.
So, I mean, the big thing is, does he have the ability to play the card out to channel 2 additional runes as the E player? And if so, nope, there's another Find Your Center, but still, that's a good find, and we could still see the Auroras
Another fighter
coming
center.
out, or even like a Dead Bloom coming out as well. But
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, 7 runes.
mm-hmm,
Now 8 runes. Next turn will be 10 runes, which is nice because, like you said, yeah, you can play the Aurora, you can play the Dead Bloom, and then you have 1 or 2 runes still available either for a Defy, which is really good to have against an Annie because you can get rid of some of the spells. You can
mm-hmm.
also have a Discipline or an On Guard with that.
Well, and even yeah, and even a Sabotage as well, because some decks do. I
Oh
haven't seen
yeah.
this deck list, but I know a lot of Yi decks do like to run one
Mm,
Sabotage in the
mm-hmm.
main deck.
Yeah, you're very right.
So especially with time warps and ride the winds that could be just permeating it throughout, it's just a good tap and say, nope, sorry, you're not.
Good thing as well, by the way, if there was to be an Aurora played next round, that essentially comes into play. If a Dead Bloom is hit, you get to take one of the battlefields, probably get fighter flighted away or rebuked or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then the Annie player can only get to 5 points from holding. If not, she gets to 6, and then you still have at least 2 more turns you can play before Annie can basically threaten to end the game. So, hoping that Aurora is there for the Yi, and if it is, it's in a pretty good timing, I would say.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is Diwali's going to need to find a lot of answers with the fighter flights and flashes and things of that nature
Mm.
as well. And if he's not necessarily able to, while also avoiding the defies, then this could very quickly change into Master Yi's advantage, and Annie's going to be in an uphill battle at that point.
Yeah, and also going back to the base, retreating a little bit because the Master Yi has so many options next turn to do. Can definitely play something from hand. Can definitely play the Master Yi that enters ready. Can definitely play an Aurora. And this is just basically an answer saying, you can't Dead Bloom onto me. Unless you enter ready, you can't really go and do anything.
So a big turn here. What does the Master Yi have in hand? I mean, it was definitely smart to
No
be able
Aurora.
no Aurora, but still a Tasty Fey Folk. You're at least gonna get some buff with the Master Yi Legend ability on that. Also feels really good because if the unit is in fact taken out at that point, the Death Knell ability to channel 2 runes and be able to draw a card can be a pivotal moment in that. And with Zon Warren's going to be discarding and drawing a card as well on Conquer.
So the Mountain Drake being discarded. What I would love to see is a charm right now to bring that Vi into the battlefield to get it killed. But I think we just see a pass. Yeah, we see a
Yeah.
pass.
So I don't know. Would I rather almost take out a Vi, or would I rather take out the Traveling Merchant? Because the discard draw one just adds more fuel to the fire for a late game Vi as well, which could be a little dangerous too. It's a tough
Mm.
choice.
Let's see what's going to happen. Yeah. So Traveling Merchant going over. Discard 1, draw 1. Scrap Heap as well.
Ooh.
Huge. 2 draws coming in. Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing too. Scrap Heap just is a gear that gets discarded, so there's no way to basically have the E player say, "No, sorry, you can't do that." It's like, nope, I discard this. Cool, I get to draw
Mm.
2. Just such a great utility right there, and I can see why Annie players are running 3 of them in the main deck now.
Yeah, there was a Gust also there, which. So do you know what I think is going to happen? I think this player. So Annie has Gusts, and against this sort of deck, Gusts absolutely suck. So there is a chance we see that the Annie will sideboard out the Gust for the next game, and then the Yi will sideboard into the 2-drop deck.
Yeah, and I just gotta say, I absolutely love that. Blark went ahead and decided to try that kind of option where you are playing the Aurora and then just the regular Yi with your side deck. And you can
Yeah,
see that it's paid dividends here because here you are in the finals and your opponent is playing essentially 2 different decks here.
and the other thing is, he's done this every single game he's played.
Mm-hmm.
So also he could not do that, and then just
Throw a curveball.
basically gamble it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like the opponent will not know, have they swapped or have they not swapped. So
Well, and that's definitely something to even consider, for the entirety of the tournament, especially once this deck list probably is going to get more popular.
Hmm.
Just for making even the finals, not even if the Yi wins or loses, just for making the finals, I guarantee you a lot of Yi players are going to be switching over to this deck list at that point.
Oh yeah, in your locals, make sure you bring gear removal. So bring gear removal in your locals.
Well, and that's going to be the interesting thing with set 2 and all the gear that got added as well. It's like,
Mm.
well, everyone's bringing gear removal at that point too. So
Yeah,
good
Dice just got
practice.
cleaved, so he becomes a ready. So he's a 10.
And still 2 runes at the ready, so you could even go ahead and double unguard or even just a discipline even. And you're almost okay with the trade as well at that point.
Yeah, I mean there could be, yeah, like you said, discipline on guard could be a rune prison as well.
Mm.
So then that means the Darius would bounce back, the cleave is gone, and then you would have to come in with a Vi and recycle a little bit in order to deal with that potentially. So would there be a rune prison? Let's see what is going to be played here.
Okay, discipline.
And yeah, like you said, it's not too bad to trade because you
Mm-mm.
get all this value as well coming in.
Well, and also not only that is you're going to be at max runes at this point on your next turn as a Yi player. So it's like cool,
Ooh,
you
sneaky
know,
deckhand.
another sneaky deckhand, more cards in the discard with the Vi. But at any point, one charm could just completely devastate the Annie board, especially if you go with a Dead Bloom on this next turn.
Do you think we're going to get the Aurora this game? I think it's too much of a gamble for him to play it, and he also
Mhm.
plays it very kind of. He plays it smart.
Yeah,
If he doesn't think that it's okay, yeah, Dead Bloom's coming out. Yeah, that I think that is a safe way to play, even if there was a Aurora in
mhm.
hand.
Same. And I get why at this point Annie is too far ahead. If Annie was at like 4 points with this board state,
Hmm.
I would say go for it. But being at 6 points, you don't want to make your Annie go up to 8 and then just have a completely, okay, can I actually deal with this? And so that's pretty big too, having a sneaky deckhand being taken out by the Dead Bloom there as well.
So one thing that needs to happen is the Vi needs to get killed.
Mhm.
She is so strong currently. There's multiple options for that to happen. One, she could be charmed over. Two, there could also be a challenge, but I'm not sure if they played challenge in their deck. Um, or keeping a rune prison available, which we saw happen before when this player faced against an Annie. So
Mhm.
those are kind of the three answers I think that could happen, which are pretty nice. So we'll see which one they go through. And I think that was a pass as well.
Mhm.
4 runes up, which also opens up for a primal strength, which would make Deadman get an +7. So that would be a total of 17 might you would have to play around.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big thing here is what is Diwali going to be able to do? I mean, 4 runes up going against a Master Yi is intimidating at best. You know, you're
Hmm.
there's so many different realms of possibilities. They at least know each other's deck lists. That's going to be the big thing here.
Yeah.
They know what the possibilities are. Now, of course, after they view the deck, if I remember correctly, they do have to go from memory at that point. They can't keep checking the
Hmm.
deck list, but still.
Yeah. Discard the sneaky deck hand, grab something else. I thought that was a scrap heap for a second, and I kind of laughed a little bit. I was like, so much value coming out of that, but
Yeah.
I saw it was a sneaky deck hand in the end.
The other scrap heap. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, and still gonna get a lot of utility. And Traveling Merchant just is such a powerful card in Annie. And can do so much on even just getting out. Like, I don't need this card for this situation. Get
Mm.
it out. Let me get a card that I potentially need and see what I can do. The Dead Bloom Predator is going to be the hardest wall to get over. And Annie luckily has a bunch of different ways to potentially go about doing that. 8 runes at the ready, and cards in hand. So you just got to find that correct line.
I don't remember the matchup if we saw Dwali play against Blah before. I think they played before the. No, no, they haven't played. I'm trying to think if Dwali played against a Master Yi Aurora deck that basically swapped out the sideboard for the 2-drop because I'm really interested to see what happens for game 2. I
Mm.
really want to know.
And that's why I also kind of wish we got to see a bit more of the side decking because when
Hmm.
how the players hold the cards, we could very well
Yeah.
see what they take in, take out kind of thing. And
Yeah.
That would be such a cool window, especially to see in these finals.
Yeah, and also Annie at 7 points, basically able to go and score two and then win the game potentially. Masti being on two, so there's plenty of turns to go and
Hmm.
develop a base. And like we said, the charms are like the only thing that can kind of kill things here. Charms, challenges if there's any.
Hmm.
But apart from that, the Annie can just develop the base as much as possible. Get all the Dariuses in there because we haven't seen one yet. Wait, have we seen one? I think there was one Darius
Yeah,
potentially.
there was one
There
Darius.
was one, yeah. So there's at least one more Darius that can be played, and then that's a ton of might. And also all the discards with Vi can come in to
Hmm.
just go and overpower everything.
Well, and not only that is you can go ahead and play Ride the Wind, and
Yes.
if that gets defied, you play Annie out, you get to Ride the Wind back, you play it again,
Yeah.
and do you have two defies in hand?
Mm-hmm.
And if not, and most Ys don't, there is that rare circumstance, but then you can just still carry out your turn.
Mm-hmm. And also smart as well from Dwali to not going to the other battlefield
Hmm.
and staying for the 7 point to go get two. That way that the Master Yi is forced to take out his actual Master Yi champion unit, play it, it comes in ready, and then conquer the other battlefield. So even if he had a Dead Bloom in hand, it would not be possible to go straight onto the battlefield and trade out a unit essentially
Hmm.
for free.
Yeah. Well, and it would be really interesting as well to maybe even try to bait out the defies or things of that nature with a fighter flight to push a unit back into the base at this point. This is almost like your final
Mm-hmm.
turn. Either I'm going to make my big push here and try to get the win. You still have some time, sure, but at the same time, the last thing you want is for the Yi to continue to develop. At this point, if Diwali doesn't actually win on this turn, I would be very tempted to go ahead and play out the Aurora if it was in hand.
Yeah, and also Namasi basically is on 11 runes, will be on 12 next turn. Just, yeah, can pretty much play whatever the hell he wants. And
Mm-hmm.
also the fact that he's leaving 4 runes, or 5 actually now, open again, really strongly indicates that it's a primal strength, which does give a +7, so that makes it super, super tough. And of course, the rebuke going out, deflect cost will be incoming, and that cannot be defied because it's a 2 energy cost and a 2 power cost. And defy can only counter a spell that only has 1 power cost.
Yeah, and that caveat alone is a big difference maker here. And going to be interested to see now. Of course, one was floated at that point. Basically, you have one additional rune that is not on the board because of the deflect
Mm-hmm.
cost. And so, a great way to get around that. And going to be curious to see, how the rest of this turn is going to go. 5 runes is so scary to try to consider, and Yi could have all of these different answers to be able to utilize here.
Yeah, and like you said, 1 floated, so 8 runes are available in total. So you can develop quite a load, but also if you don't really win this turn, it will get a lot harder for Annie because Master Yi can just keep playing units
Mm-hmm.
from hand. So we'll see what happens.
So, and with that, I mean, you still have the traveling merchant and an open battlefield. You could potentially discard 2 more cards and draw if,
Mm-hmm.
they allow that to go through. And even just on the move alone, you could discard and draw another one. So, I mean,
Yeah, you could also just for fun stack everything on the Zorn Warrens, but that is such a risky play. You get the 8 point from
hmm.
this turn, and then you hold it for the ninth. But
Oh
then Yi
gosh.
has ganking, so he can
Hmm.
go in. You can accelerate something and go in. Um, it would be rough.
Yeah. So, and
White
that.
Flame Protector would be a thing.
Hmm.
Imagine White Flame Protector +8, so that's a 14. Then you just give it a Discipline or something, 16.
Oh, you could White Flame Protector and Primal Strength, right? Primal is 4 and 1.
Oh, yeah, that's 21.
You could add so much.
Yeah.
Oh man, so you got to be so careful
Cool.
about how you play about that. Hate to see, or I think he's checking his discard at that.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that?
his trash. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
huge scrap pizza in his hand. Oh my gosh, what a dead card! But again, it looks like gonna be adding 5 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna still be able to get around a lot. Gonna bait out some kind of response at this point, and even just discarding and drawing one as well here on taking the Zon War and drawing one at 7, or no, he's going to be at 8, sorry, because of the Aspirant's Climb. So he won't be able to draw a card off of the 7th point at that point.
I would just go ham. I would just go all in.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, when I move discard one, draw one, and then effect of Zorn Warrens as well. When you conquer discard one, draw one. So two cards basically changed out for something else. Imagine another rebuke coming in from those two draws. That would be insane. I'm really surprised there's no fight or flight or rebuke in hand right now.
Yeah.
That'll just be an instant win.
That's the hard part now. And that's the thing, is you don't want to necessarily, you know, you don't want to use the Annie on a dead grab in the battlefield either. And so this is a big moment trying to prepare for how can I go ahead and deal with this. And so
I think we're trying to see what we can recycle to potentially go in with another unit that isn't the Vi, just so we can try and bait out the Yi being killed or traded. So it forces Blah to play literally anything.
Because let's see, if Yi goes ahead and has, in worst case scenario, Primal and Unguard, that adds 9 to the 8. So 17 that you would potentially need to get over at that point.
And I see there was a question from the judge. And also, yeah, this player, Dwali, has said that he sometimes goes and asks the judge what a certain card does, because he just doesn't know all the cards because he is brand new to the game.
Yeah. Brand new to the game, and here we are in the finals.
Yeah.
I mean, great job there. Seriously.
Incredible.
And so it looks like I saw a cleave in hand as well, so a little bit more of a buffer. And very well could just be sending potentially even, I mean, would you want to risk at that point sending everything over to the climb?
Yes, I would risk it.
Ooh, and it looks like he played Annie to get the rebuke back into hand.
I totally forgot that could happen, but that is huge.
Yeah.
And it cannot be defied. Maybe Windwall, but I haven't seen a Windwall played from that Yi player at all yet, so
this is going to be interesting. He's going to be going in to see what kind of reaction there might be here. And there's going to be the discipline coming in. Could draw something on the top deck to add to that as well. And so +4 for the legend ability too. So that's a big math to keep in mind with that. But looks like that might be the scoop.
Yeah, that is definitely a game.
Yep. And I mean, that's something that you just got to be so careful about. But I mean, the Annie player was able to go ahead and just control the game, get a great start. I mean, I got to say, the biggest thing with that was getting the, yes, you got the Vi and unfortunately had to recycle, but getting the sneaky deckhand out into the other battlefield was a very pivotal moment there to get that extra points needed to win.
And that has happened as well. We see the side coming out as well, and the Pora coming out. So the Auroras are gone. The Auroras are all gone. So we're playing more of a mid-range Yi deck, but we still have all of that ramp as well to get your might up a little bit. And I don't think there is a 2-drop or a 3-drop in Annie's hand.
Oh.
Okay, there is. But they seem to be very unhappy.
Yeah, which is interesting because it's like, what could Annie potentially be having in hand to not necessarily be happy about something?
Or it could potentially also be a just a bluff against your opponent. Just act.
Yeah. I mean that is one of the biggest things that you can utilize in TCGs as well. Body language can be a huge tell for better or worse in that case.
Yep, and Use that to my advantage many times already.
Mhm.
I guess that's why I like playing against Alan is like so scary because he just sits there and he just looks at you, cards on the table.
Well,
That's it.
I do that too. When it's my opponent's turn, I
Mm-hmm.
put my hand down. It's the same cards that I've always had. Doesn't matter.
Mm,
And so I watch my opponent, even watching his eyes, because his eyes will look at different cards as he's looking at different options. And when he looks at the left
mm-hmm.
card, looks at his unit, it can tell you a lot on potentially on what they had. And I'm like, hey, he doesn't have this
Mm-hmm.
card. He doesn't have this card. Cool. It's so crazy
And
how you can deduct that.
something cool that happened, by the way. Oh, we do see a sabotage in the hand of the Yi. But something cool that happened here. So the Gust was hit. In response, Discipline.
Mhm.
Because you target your own unit, you get one from the Dreaming Tree and also one from Discipline. So it's a total of 2 draws.
Yeah, and again, just a great way to utilize getting a little bit ahead, which, the Master Yi player is never going to complain about, especially because Annie, in a lot of ways, has just such powerful cards that any top deck can really make the difference for them.
Definitely. Let's see what the E player does, going to 6 runes. Point advantage is very nice to have. Even if the Annie loses, such a big advantage to going first on Arena's Greatest on the last best of 3 game. What's that card that's going to be played now? Zhonya's 2 Zhonya's, okay.
Interesting. Yeah. And that's a pass at that point too. So really
Okay.
interesting because now it's wide open. 4 runes at the ready.
Keeping 4 up again. What up, Clark? Hello, hello. Welcome. You're here in time just for the finals.
So gosh, this is going to be cool, but this is going to be a big turn here. Looks like we are going to go ahead and gust back. Is that going to also be enough to bait out potentially a defy, but you're almost
Maybe.
okay with
Oh,
that
okay.
and saving the defy for later in game. But still going up another point, getting a card draw off of that, and even having a targetable thing in Dreaming Tree can be a big difference maker there.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Flash getting Traveling Merchant cannot be targeted with Flash, but still getting a card draw off of Flash on the Kaisa as well can be really good.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 runes for the Yi. 8 next turn. Can bring out the Master Yi. Ready. Go in. If it dies, it doesn't really matter. There's 2 Zhonyas on the board. It could also be room for a Deadloom Predator. That would instantly sabotage.
Yeah, why not? 2 flashes
Sabotage
and a
into Yi.
rebuke.
That rebuke is going.
And it's at the bottom of the deck. It does not go to the trash, which is such a big difference maker. There does
it's
not
basically
feel good.
banished. It's not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's going to be the Yi coming in ready. And it's just so safe because they can only flash back and move back. So you just go to a battlefield that you want to feel safe in. Boom. Is the merchant going to move as well? Discard 1, draw 1? Actually, no, you kind of
You
don't want to
can't.
do that, do you?
Well, and it's move up to 2
Depends.
friendly units. So in Vile Maw, you cannot move at that case.
Oh, you're very right. Yes, because can't beats can.
So that's the big difference there. And because it specifically says move, it is not able to happen. Whereas Zhonya's Hourglass, when activated, does not count as a move. So Traveling Merchant is stuck unless there is a Ride the Wind in this case, but it can only move from one battlefield to another if that is even played.
I kind of want Annie to take this.
Yeah, it would be really cool. And there's another rebuke. Now that can be a big difference maker right there.
And then Annie can just go back in, put another rebuke in hand. It's huge.
And that can slow down dramatically the Master Yi right there. I mean, could you imagine having an Annie crowned as a regional champion right there?
Wow.
I mean, who would have called that when this game first came out, that we would have an Annie crowned at the first regional?
Probably no one.
Sold Out would have said so.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Bias. It's also nice to get the Kaiser to get the Conquer as well,
Mm-hmm.
because you get to draw an extra card.
Yeah.
A lot of cards in hand for the Master Yi, but not many runes to play with.
So, and a Darius as well. This is still, I mean, building up the backfield while having two into the battlefields. Annie is really looking in control of this final so
And
far.
next turn, right?
Yeah.
The Yi can only take one battlefield at max. So going to 6,
Mhm.
with the board developed in the back, you essentially just win the game.
And another rebuke that you could potentially
Yep.
fish out anytime. It's like, okay, cool. You take one, I go to 6, I play Annie, grab the rebuke.
Mm.
And what are you going to do about it? You don't have the runes to be able to get around and build too big of a board.
Yeah, I think it's just over for the Master Yi. What else is in hand? Unless there's a Sabotage, but that doesn't matter because the Rebuke would come out from the trash.
Mm-hmm. Dead Bloom is still
Dead
a great
Bloom.
answer, at least.
Fight or Flight.
Yeah.
Who cares about the Rune Recycle?
Just keep slowing your opponent down. Well, and Fight or Flight doesn't work in this case because of Vile Lair.
Oh, you're so right.
Because even on your opponents...
Kaiser. You just get to draw a card. Next turn, you just walk in, get another card. So just pulling so many cards.
Mm-hmm.
Next turn, get the Rebuke out, and I think it's GG.
Mm-hmm.
Fully tapped out. Actually, no, it's not GG, sorry.
It's not yet, but still,
There will be another turn after
getting
that, yeah.
so close at that point. And
Yeah.
with all the cards in hand, it very well could be, because you could potentially even go ahead and pass and have, 2 Fight or Flights in hand and just protect the Dreaming Tree the whole time. I'd go ahead and defy the first and then move in with the second one, and it's like, okay, cool.
And also next turn, because the Master Yi is on 6 runes, it would be a total of 8. So if the Dead Bloom gets rebuked, then it would have to pay the full 8 and then be fully tapped out. So even to Fight or Flight or something, they wouldn't be able to respond with a Defy just literally because of the lack of runes.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I don't see Master Yi winning this at all.
And then even playing an Annie at that point, recycling the 1 to go ahead and get out the much needed card at this point of a rebuke. That could very well have sealed the game right there.
Just look at his face. He knows it's over.
Yep. I mean, still getting second, though, just an absolutely great feat to be able to hold. Still just got to be super careful and calculated. It's like we keep saying, it's not over till it's over. The last thing you want is to play too fast or to get antsy with the win, and make that mistake.
No, that's a sneaky deck hand, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a scrap heap again.
Reinforcing completely at that point, and then on the pass, going to be able to ready 2 runes to go up to 4 at that point. Oh, but does not have enough to be able to rebuke. He needs 2 purple to be able to rebuke.
Yeah, you're right. Where's the Ride the Wind in hand?
Yeah, Ride the Wind could work at that point, because then Charm wouldn't be able to get around it either.
Yeah, and he can't Charm because he's on 8 runes.
Yep, that's going to be it.
GG.
Annie has taken it and been the first regionals winner here. I mean,
Wally.
that feels pretty good. I mean, great job by both competitors there. And Annie just was able to walk it through there.
Wow. That was insane.
Mm-hmm.
And it's over. The first English regional is done.
I feel like Frodo after climbing Mount Doom and destroying the ring. It's over. It's done. And just
wow.
great win right there. Going to be able to get the trophy in hand, the $6,000 prize, the Misfortune art and play mat, and ultimately that medal Annie as well as the crowned champion. Let's take a listen.
Ever English regional qualifier champion Diwali, I present to you the Prestige Buccaneer Misfortune Prize Champion card. Diwali, I have one big question to start things off. How do you feel in this exact moment? There can only ever be one first.
It's actually insane. Like I can't believe it's happening. Like, this is the biggest tournament I've won, and I just feel so amazing. I love the game. It's so good, and just couldn't be happier, man. To do it first is awesome. Yeah.
And you're incredibly good at it, as we've all just witnessed. Take it down entirely. I truly can't believe a legend that nobody else has been representing for a while. What did you do, and who can you thank? Anyone you would like to shout out for this achievement that you're taking right in this moment?
I'd like to shout out Tarek specifically. He worked a lot on the Annie deck. I tested with a lot of people. I tested with like Nia, T, Michael Yazaker, like, you know, a lot of people that I played with to help me get here. I want to shout out my sponsor, like Invasion TCG and PCG. Like they, you know, I wouldn't be here without them being able to support me. My girlfriend and my parents back home. It's just unbelievable. Like, you know, it's a collection of friends and family that have got me here. So thanks to them.
That's exactly what makes
Nice.
Riftbound great. The
Wow.
community, the family, the people. And you are the first to take home this trophy for the regional qualifier champion. Congratulations to
Beautiful.
Diwali one more time.
That's awesome. Well played there. After 2 days of competition, we have the first champion.
Nice. Very nice.
So with that, I am gonna call it quits there. Great to be here with you, Jacob. That was a thrilling time right there.
Yeah, I'm also going to call it quits. Get some food, go to bed. It is getting very late.
Yeah.
Not as late as yesterday, so I'm pretty happy. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out over the last 2 days. You've been a massive help as well, and thank you as well to everyone watching, both on Riftbound and also Silent Lights channel. What a great regional, and I can't wait to go to Bologna to watch everything in person myself. I'm just going to be walking around tables, taking photos of players if I can, so they can have some like really cool media, and then just supporting whoever's going to be playing that. I can't wait.
Gonna be a great time. So until next time.